Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. I think that if you've found this video, you're probably interested in how to fix your player's elbow drag. And my biggest I think thing that I can offer in this regard is as a teacher and as an instructor, I can give you some things to think about and to look at instead of another drill. There's a lot of drills out there, and you guys that have elbow draggers know how hard it is to eliminate elbow drag. And so I think this will be a kind of just a quick discussion talking about, I'll give you 3 things, right, that I think that you need to consider in while you're teaching or shaping your player. But some things to think about. Number 1, their concept of what it means to swing the bat. Right, from a very early age, right? This little monster right here. He's gonna clobber this ball, right? But from a very early age, players learn to swing the bat around, right? That's what they see. That's what we saw when we first played. I didn't have tees really when I was playing as much, but we saw players standing at the plate and swinging the bat around the plate. That was our idea. And so what are we going to do? We don't have very many muscles, right? We're not very strong with our hands, and so we're going to lay that sucker down and flip it around our body, right? And so as they grow, right, they still have that concept in their mind. So what you have to eliminate, well, first off, you have to understand, is your player thinking about swinging around the ball? And that could be part of the problem. So that's a good way to start bringing up the discussion with them. Hey, we're not trying to swing the bat around the ball. We're trying to take the bat and go through the ball. And it looks like, when we watch our favorite players on TV, that they're swinging around because the bat has to go somewhere. As we get through the ball, the bat has to finish, right? And so, you know, let them know that they're right in thinking that's what's happening, but really, we're really trying to get through the ball. And so this all starts at a very young age, and it continues on until somebody finally steps in and really takes care of business and says, hey, we're going through the ball. Number 2 is pre-swing. Make sure your players are getting into a good position to maintain whatever they're doing in their weight shift, that they're going to get to a good launch position, right? So at the end of our weight shift, our front heel will plant, right? And whatever position your player is in there is going to dictate a lot. But as you see on the left, and if you saw my video, Failure to Launch, you'll see that consistently, or I see, 90% of the players that come for evaluations really have a difficult time, particularly 10 and unders, of finding a good position where their front shoulder stays on the pitch, their hands stay back, and their body's not like this when they land. Most kids land like this, okay? And I've got a lot of examples, on and on and on and on, of players that just have a rough time hitting the right launch position. Well, all of these players, I can tell you first and foremost by watching, working with these kids, is their idea was swing the bat around the body. Okay, and so please understand that there's a lot of guys online these days saying style doesn't matter. Right, and look, it used to be part of the presentation that I would do when I was doing an evaluation for people. I would say, oh, you know, give Kevin Youkilis as an example, and some guys that just had really extreme stances, and I would say it doesn't matter as long as they get to a good launch. Well, that's the problem, is most kids don't get to a good launch. I mean, really, no kids get to a good launch. And so let's do away with the idea that style doesn't matter, and let's pay a closer attention to what position they're getting their body in the very beginning. And I think that you'll see that they're going to make a little bit more progress if you simplify things and get their hands and their body into a position where they're ready to hit from. Okay, so you know, the weight shift and all that's really a critical piece. And I don't want to, you don't have to, you know, make it so simple that they're not getting any momentum or anything, but I would pay particular attention to their hand position and how their body's in position. If you go to my Unload the Swing Like a Pro, I think just about any kid can learn this drill, and I think it gives them a good starting point to what they should feel. Number 1, as they get into their weight shift position, how the swing's going to unload and where their hands and everything are. So take a look at that video, but style does matter, particularly for 10 and unders. All right, so try to help your player get into the best position as possible. And then the last thing that I'll point out is, you know, the top hand for players is really is not involved in the swing until they drop their hands and drop the barrel, and then they're going to pull around and then maybe hit the ball with their top hand. This is something that I watch for really closely if I were you. I would say, and maybe talk to your players about this, hey, if all of your elbow draggers have a top hander that rolls either because the elbow comes down, right, or because the hands start to lay off to get the barrel ready to get so-called on plane or get the barrel ready to go around, right? And so one of the things you can try to challenge your player with, instead of focusing so much on the elbow, is talk to them about how their hands are taking off. And if you make the focus about their hands, particularly an elbow dragger, if you make the focus more on their hands than on their elbow, you're probably going to get better results. And one thing that I do with my players is I try to get my players to, and not every player, it doesn't work for everybody, but I try to get them to think, all right, I'm going to take my top hand in the direction of the ball. So if we're doing tee work, I'll kind of get them, hey, I want you to take that index finger and point it right that way, right? It's not the perfect grip, right? But right here, we're kind of trying to show them, hey, I'm going to take my hands in this direction, right? And then it'll limit this move, right? And this is what you're going to see from them at first, because they're going to want to roll their hands. You've got to focus and tell them, hey, we're not rolling our hands, we're taking our hands right to where we need to go, right? And again, Unload Like a Pro, that video will definitely clear some of that up. But understanding, I think, too, is really important. They're wanting to roll, right? Roll their hands, roll the barrel to get it behind them. Their concept of the swing is swing around, so they're going to drop all this to swing the bat around. Their elbow's going to pull underneath, right? Because it's going to help in the pulling process, right? And then their pre-swing movement, none of them are getting to a good launch position, right? And so they're landing out of position like the young man there on the left, right? And then that top hand laying off. Well, look out for that stuff. Try to get them to get their hands starting in the right direction in the very beginning instead of the elbow coming down or the hands rolling, and I think you'll make a lot of progress. Hey, you're welcome to send me a video for analysis. It's probably the cheapest rate you'll find, and I am the best. So at $25, you can't beat it. All right, so please send me a video, and we'll take a look at what your kiddo's doing. I'll sign you a custom drill, right, just for your player, and that's what it's all about, being a consultant and helping shape your player to help them get to the next level. Hey, I appreciate you watching. RonSullivan99@gmail.com. Thanks.